Oh man. Oh man. I just got home from work and I was reading the blog post or whatever they call it on the Poll 84, the stackable clues and more. The and more is actually pretty good. All the non-stackable clue stuff is very interesting and pretty good, honestly. But man, oh man, I was just reading it. I saw that other people had posted about it and stuff, and I ignored it. I just read the post myself and was thinking about everything before looking at what other people are thinking about it. So I'm gonna, after I finish this, I'm gonna go see what other people are talking about. But man, I guess I should just say the TLDR on it. If you haven't read the news post yourself, it can basically be broken down into three parts. The first part is no matter what we vote on, they're reverting back to 3 minute clue timer, so no more 1 hour timer. Uh, the second thing is if we do get stackable, the absolute max would be 5 stackable for all the tiers, which is like I guess they're saying they're not gonna negotiate that one at all. It's just gonna be 5 no matter what, if we get the stackable. And then the third thing is just skip tokens, which skip like one clue step of a clue, and you get it from caskets, I guess. That one is interesting. I still have questions about that one, but yeah, that's the TLDRs. Those three things, basically. So yeah, I guess before I get too negative, I don't want to be too negative. Uh, I guess the good part is they are trying to come up with ideas of how to fix the sort of annoyance, I guess, or the tedious nature of like clue juggling, which has been, I guess, the meta and like what everybody feels forced to do since they added the 1 hour timers, just because now you can do it. So like, I like that part of it, but what they came up with, I'm sort of not that excited about. But I warned about stackable clues a year ago. I have a video, Ramble 2, at 12 minutes and 25 seconds is where I talk about the stackable clues. And I posted that video April 20th of 2024. So almost a year ago, like almost exactly a year ago. And I warned about it. I literally predicted that they would put the limit at 5. So I got that right. The part I got wrong is I thought they would leave the 1 hour timer. So that would be like a hybrid solution. But yeah, I basically warned that it was going to be stackable clues that everybody was talking about was going to be a major nerf. Like it's going to nerf how we do clues. As we do clues right now, it's just a major nerf to how we can do them basically. And I warned about that a year ago. But because all I ever heard about a year ago was everybody talking about how they wanted stackable, they want to stackable. Oh, I hate having to juggle my clues, but like I don't know. I knew it was going to be a nerf, and I felt like nobody really considered that it wasn't just going to be all sunshine and rainbows and all that. But yeah, that's an interesting. It's interesting. I rewatched that part because I knew I had already talked about stackable clues. I just went back and watched that video just from 12:25 on. Man, it's interesting. I suggest you go watch that because that's so interesting. That I basically predicted the 5 clues limit. That's I don't know, just interesting. And I sort of predicted how much it was going to be a nerf to doing clues. I feel like, but yeah, I warned about this. Also, sort of interesting. In that video, I literally just had hit 25 mil Woodkin XP, and now I'm at 50 mil. So just doubled my Woodkin XP in a year's time since that video. It's very interesting. So yeah, I just want to get into it. I read the whole blog post and I wrote down notes of where my head's at. I probably missed a bunch of things, but like, I'll just go through what my thoughts are, I guess, and where I see problems and what I'm thinking. I don't know. I don't know if necessarily all problems, but I think that the biggest thing immediately upon like my first reaction was like how much of a nerf this is going to be for the amount you can stack. Obviously, like you can stack almost unlimited. I mean, not really unlimited, but like realistically, you can easily stack 20, 30 clues on the ground. Like I know some people do like 100, but It's just immediately a huge nerf in terms of how many you can actually have at once to go do, which doesn't sound like such a bad thing, but like when you think about like doing, um, let's say you pickpocket ham members or gnomes or something for easier medium clues is like now a limit of 5 you're gonna reach that pretty quick. Whereas before you'd be able to just stack them wherever you want on the ground. You could thieve for a whole day, or you can thieve for 2-3 hours. Now you can thieve for an hour, and then I need to go do my clues because you get more than 5 clues in an hour. You know what I mean? Like it would mean thieving for 30 minutes. You won't be able to just keep thieving for a while. I don't know. It's just a big nerf to how many you can stack for sure. Whether you think it should be like that or not, I guess is the debate, but it's a nerf. That's a fact. Um, I mean, one of the biggest questions I also have is it shouldn't. I think I know the answer to what this is, but the big question for me is when you unseal or unbox, whatever you want to call it, a clue, does it reset the number of clue steps you're on? Like does it act like you just got another clue, or will it work like properly, like how it worked in leagues where you could just unseal another clue and then your steps that you've already done on that tier is like still saved. I think it's gonna work properly where it still remembers your steps even though you like dropped a clue. So I think that should be fine. But that's just something read. I read the news post and I don't feel like that was answered. So I guess that's something I would want clarity on just to make sure. Like it should work like that, but who knows? Who knows if they thought of that or I mean, they should have. They 100% they thought of that. So that should be fine. Um, another thing I'm sort of critical of is the uh like unlocking the stacking power. Like that whole thing is that whole thing is pretty convoluted. Like every tier has its own unlock stacking limits. Like and it's like they all have different numbers to unlock. So like yeah, you need to do like 50 beginners for the first cap increase, and then but for easies it's 100, mediums it's 100, hards it's 50, elites it's 50, but masters is 25. And then for the second tier, it also changes again. Where like in the first tier, easy, medium were the same, but for the second upgrade, like easies is 200, and then mediums is 250. Why is mediums higher for some reason? I don't know. And then for hards and elites, it stays the same actually. It's 50 to 150 and then 50 to 150 for the increases. And then masters is 25 for the first, 75 for the next. Like it makes sense, I guess. But beginner only being 50 to 100, but for some reason easies is like doubled, and then mediums is even more on the second, but not the first. But it's the same as like the whole thing just is so confusing. I don't really know why they sort of. I don't even know. I guess the defeat the mimic is like to increase by one is interesting, but I don't know. And then also you could be at different numbers for different. I think this is the biggest thing. This like sure the numbers for the increases is convoluted, but also the actual uh, way that you could have different limits by tiers can also be confusing for your account. So like what if you got one increase for beginners, you got two increases like or with the easies, uh, and then you got three increases because you got the mimic also. So you get base one, but like you got two for medium, one for hard, zero for elites. I guess it'd be a one if you kill the mimic, and then two for masters. So it's like so then you're stacking clues, and then you maybe didn't play for a while, then you forget. Oh, I can only stack three mediums, but I can stack five hards, and I can stack four elites, but I can only stack what is it, two or three easies and or whatever. It's like I don't know. That whole thing is sort of annoying. I feel like I know that it's not going to be a perfect system, but I almost wish they would have made it so it's like once you complete 25 of every tier. So obviously doing beginners, easies, mediums is like really easy to do to get to 25, but then also having to do hards, elites, and masters. Once you do all of them, then you just get a one increase for all tiers instead of, and also the mimic is fine. Like I think so. I sort of like that one as well. I get one increase, so then you get one increase for at 25 of every of every tier, you get all tiers up one. I don't know. Part of me feels like it should be for all tiers and not just one tier at a time. Maybe that's stupid. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I don't know. I just feel like that is my initial reaction to that. Then another thing I was thinking about as I was reading the news post was about I was specifically thinking about hard clues and how annoying hard clues are going to be now that you're basically forced to just complete one clue to completion at a time instead of juggling and just doing selective on steps. So like that was the biggest appeal for the 1 hour timers is hard clues. You get a wieldy step, you drop it, you make a pile of wieldy steps, and then you just do all non-wieldy steps, and then you do your full wieldy step stack, and then you know it really limited the re-gearing aspect, which is nice because then you have your wieldy setup and then you have your non-wieldy setup, and then you only need to switch between them a few times because you make a pile for the wieldy and you do that all at once, and then you go back to doing non-wieldy. But now if you have to just do one clue to completion before you open a new one, basically, because you can't juggle them really. I mean, it's a 3 minute timer. You can still juggle a little bit, but like it'd be really annoying, right? And I'm not going to do that. So now it's actually going to be more tedious and messing up your inventory management because you're going to need to be banking all your stuff. You don't want to be risking stuff in the wildy because hard clues you got to go with wildy like what 90% of the time. So almost every hard clue you're gonna have to at some point probably re-gear and then take all your shit back out. So that's gonna be annoying. It's basically like it's low key a bit of a wilderness update, a PKing update because I mean, how many people are gonna be annoyed by that or just like be like fuck I don't want to re-gear and then they risk their stack of shit or whatever they bring stuff they shouldn't be bringing. I don't know. That whole thing is that's honestly one of the bigger annoyances that I thought of about this update is just how more annoying hard clues are going to be. Hard clues are already so annoying having to go to the wieldy all the time. Like, why? Why do we got to go to the wieldy? Can we just, if part of this update was, should we just remove clue scrolls having to go to the wieldy, or like drastically reduce it so that it's only like instead of 90% of the time you're going to the wieldy for a hard clue, maybe it's similar to how elite clues, it's really not that often, right? Elite clues, most of the time you don't go to the wieldy, but every once in a while you have to, and that's fine. Like if it was like that, I'd be more down, because it'd be like, okay, you have to go to the wieldy like 10 or 20% of the time. You don't need to re-gear every single clue. That'd be nice. I think that's something to maybe consider. But like I said, they I don't know if I said this, but they one of the parts of the actual news post was talking about how this is sort of like the first step in the changes and like they're still open to feedback and stuff. I think this is where we really need to give the feedback on that. Like I think that would actually change a big part of my view on not liking this if they changed less to make it so there's less wieldy steps. I think that would change my perspective a lot, or my feelings towards it a lot. Um, so yeah, I think this is it's ever changing because this is not the final form. They're still voting and stuff, but like some of the stuff's final. Like they're removing the timer, and if there's a limit, if we do get stacked, it's limit 5. Like that's staying. That's going to be that. But some of this other stuff we might be able to change. So I don't know. I'm guessing a lot of people are probably pretty mad at this. I think we got to keep an open mind a little bit, but also yeah, it's going to be a big nerf. I mean, there's no way two ways about it. But yeah, we got to give the feedback to be able to to maybe get some of this stuff changed and be improved or better. So I guess that's the only saving grace is potentially it's not over yet. It's not like this is not the final. This is not it's not the final draft. This is the first draft. It's gonna get changed, but I think it's gonna be a big nerf, and this is all due to all the people chanting that they want the stackable clues. Like, let's remove juggling. Like, okay, but you gotta be. If you wanted stackable clues, you can't be so mad that it's a big nerf, right? Like, you gotta realize that you wanted this, so this is what you're probably gonna get. So, yeah, just saying that before we go any further, that this is not final, and we need to keep giving feedback. Um, Talking about feedback, I think one of the things that I first thought of when I saw the post was, I think the firm cap of five, like that's their stance, is like five is the absolute limit. We wouldn't do any higher than that. I think the reason that they did that was like they wanted to be conservative with it. They didn't want to overtune it like they have done in the past. Like the 1 hour timer was, I don't even know why they added that. That was such a over, like, they didn't even think about that update. So I think because they already fucked it up, yeah, the five stance is like basically them being like, we don't want to fuck it up again, like overdo it. So I get it. Like it's a five stance is better than an unlimited stance. So that's good, but five seems really low to me personally. Uh, I think five for a Slayer task, like 'cause that's the biggest thing. Like with the whole dropping the clue was nice, is because Slayer tasks used to be really annoying because you'd have to like leave mid if you had a clue and you cared about clues. You have to leave mid task. So I think the five is good for Slayer tasks. I don't think you ever really get more. Like the most I ever get in a Slayer task is like maybe three, maybe four if you get lucky. Actually, I get over five in a Dagonoth King Slayer task, so that's sad, but it's not the end of the world. I just got 91 cooking on the main. It's not the end of the world, but yeah, I guess it's still technically a bit of a. If it was 10, I don't think I ever get more than like. I think the most I got in a Dagonoth King's task is like 7. So like 10 would be fine actually for that. Yeah. Also, I was just thinking for lower tier clues, like I sort of mentioned earlier, it'd be nice maybe if it was 10, because like if you go pickpocket, ham, or gnomes, like you get five within an hour, so you can't even thief for a whole hour. So 10 would have been maybe nice or more. I don't know. But then we're going to this thing where different tiers all have different limits, and maybe that's sort of stupid. I don't know. The whole thing sort of reeks, but it is what it is. Uh, yeah, I don't know. Five is low, but I don't hate it, but it'll be a little bit annoying. It'll be a little bit annoying for sure. So then another big part of this sort of poll and update or whatever is the that I never even considered that they would add, but it sort of makes sense because of the whole reason that they extended the timer in the first place is because people were using it to like complete clues that they couldn't complete normally. So they'd use 5 clues to complete one clue. Like they'd have do one step from a clue, then they'd get a step they can't do. So they'd just swap to another clue, do that step, then they can't do another step. They drop it. They get another clue, like they pick up another clue that they had on the ground, and then they finally can complete a clue. Like the whole reason that's why they added the whole 1 hour timer was because they wanted to like sort of accommodate those people a little bit. And so I guess in that regard, I never even considered it, but the skip tokens, like that's just basically the whole thing that they were trying to do in the first place. Where it's like, now you can get these skips so that you can complete clues, even though there's maybe a step or two you can't do, which I get, and I don't. Hey, I don't know how I feel. I'm not. Skip tokens are weird. I don't know if like them or not. They sort of remind me of reroll tokens in RS3, but it's for just completing clues. Actually, a better no, no, scratch that. The skip tokens are more like the um, what do they call them? The skip tickets. Yeah, they're literally skip tickets in RS3 where you can skip puzzles and sliders, and that's the same thing. But you can skip certain steps, not like any step that has a requirement. So it's like it's not just any steps. Not like, oh, you go dig there. You still gotta go dig there. But for steps where it's you need to equip a whatever, they have costume skipping tickets, so you don't need to wear the costume. So like that would be huge, right? So I don't know. Maybe skip tokens are sort of weird because that does that mean you can skip steps that it's just go somewhere and dig step? That's interesting. So technically, these would be more powerful than the RS3 versions of them because RS3 has like it has a bunch of different tickets, but it's all for stuff that has a requirement or is a puzzle. So these would be able to skip like any step, from my understanding. So maybe that's sort of powerful actually. But with the skip tokens, I have some questions, and the skip tokens section of the post is like sort of short. Not gonna like there isn't that much explanation on how they're gonna work. The biggest thing is literally they have 3 bullet points of how they're gonna work. It's just the skip tokens allow you to skip a single step, clue step within a scroll. So my question on that point is just like, does that mean you can only use one skip token per clue scroll, or are they just that's not like I don't know if I'm thinking about it wrong. Like, could you technically use like 5 skip tokens on one clue and then just get it right to the end? Which is maybe the case because that would sort of explain the last bullet point, which is, or the second bullet point, which is they cannot be used on the final step of the clue. So does that mean they're basically saying you can use like whatever for, well, I guess I'll maybe just say the third bullet point, which is like, it gives you a warning message if you got to skip, but it's actually the final step so that you don't waste a token. Okay, big whoop. So basically what they're saying is like, I'm guessing the whole reason they have the final step thing is because you can use multiple tokens on one clue. So basically what you're saying is you can just buy a bunch of tokens because they're going to be tradable. I don't know, maybe they shouldn't be, I don't know, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm an Iron Man. I don't care. But like, so that means you can just buy a bunch of tokens, and then you get a clue. You use a bunch of tokens, then you just do the last step to get the casket. So I guess that has to be the case because there's no like I was gonna something one of the notes I jotted down was like, why would they? What's the difference between using a token on the first step versus the last step? Like, how is that preserving integrity of the reward structure, as they put it? But I guess it's technically because you can just use tokens for the whole clue except for the last step, so you actually forced to do one step of any given clue. The only thing that I don't like about that is like it should just be that you actually have to do one step of a clue to be able to complete it, and not just make it so you can't use it on the last step. Because what I can see happening is is the opposite, where you do a whole clue scroll yourself, right? You do all the steps, and then when you get to the last step, it's the step you can't do, and then you want to use a skip on it, but then it warns you. It's like, nope, this would just waste a token because this is the last step. It would give you a casket, so you just can't complete the clue. You just got to drop it. You just waste all that time. Like, at least if it was going to be like that, that's stupid. At least it should. I don't know. Maybe if they're so hell bent on it can't be the last step. It can't be the step that gives you the casket. At least just extend the clue scroll so that basically the max, let's say the max steps is 8 steps. Is it master step is 8 steps? So if it's going to be the 8th step or whatever, instead of giving you the casket, it basically just gives you a new step, so that you still skip it, but you still have to do the last step. So at least you have a chance of essentially you're re-rolling the step into maybe something that you can do instead of something that you can't do. Is that overpowered? Is that stupid? I don't know. I sort of I just don't love the idea that you go all the way through a master clue, let's say, and on the last step it's something you can't do, but you can't skip it. But you can use skipping tokens for the rest of this clue. So yeah, I don't know. I think that might be something to consider because that's sort of busted. And I guess talking about master clues a little bit, they didn't really mention master clues at all in the whole post, which is a little concerning. I don't know if anybody else talked about this or anybody else thought about this, but like we're basically gonna go right back. Like actually, it doesn't matter if we get stackable clues or not. We're going back to the times where if you do a big clue casket opening, it's gonna take you forever because you're gonna need to stop every time you get a master clue to go do the master clue. Like that's just what it is. That's just what it's gonna be. Even if you can stack 5, yeah, okay, you got 1,000 hard clues to open the caskets. You're gonna get 5 master clues in the first 5 minutes. And then you're gonna spend a couple. You're gonna spend, I don't even know how long the master clue takes, but now you're gonna spend half an hour. You're gonna spend an hour doing 5 master clues. Then you're gonna go back to opening your caskets. You're gonna get another 5 master clues immediately, and then you need to spend another forever doing all. You're just gonna be taking constant breaks to do the master clues. So we're going back to the times. This is fun. We're going back to the times where when you open clues, you opening caskets, you got to just it takes 10 hours to do a big clue opening. So basically, stacking caskets is awful, and I suck because I have a bunch of caskets stacked, and I'm gonna get cocked by it. Like just for reference, I don't know if this is gonna be that bad. It's gonna be pretty bad. Yeah, it's actually gonna be pretty bad because yeah, if you look here, I have almost 100 caskets of every tier and 131 elites, and that's going to be a lot of masters that I get from that. Uh, so that's going to take forever. Yeah, this is not good for me personally. So that's the only reason I hate this update is because it affects me very negatively. No, I just think that's sort of sucks. Part of me wishes maybe, maybe just maybe they could just leave the 1 hour timer for master clues. Then it solves a problem where people would get annoyed because they have a three stepper and then they can still use that use the technology. I don't know. Or maybe you can stack a little bit more master clues because I'm a master at clues. I don't know. That's gonna suck. Clue openings are bad now and will take me forever. Like, and I know at the end of the day, if you do a big clue casket opening, like you're gonna have all the masters one way or another, and it's just forcing you to do them now versus you stacking them all and then doing them after. Either way, you're gonna need to spend the same amount of time doing them. I get it, but like, you're just, yeah. The whole thing of this being a bigger convenience is, I don't know if this is necessarily more convenient. It's just a different. It's just different. It's I don't know if it's improvement versus just doing a switch up. It's not necessarily better. It might be better. I don't know. With all that being said, I think the biggest thing for me is just the 1 hour timer never should have even been added in the first place. And once they did add it and realized it was a problem, they should have removed it. They should just reverted that change way earlier. Obviously, woulda, coulda, shoulda. That's way in the past now. I think part of me wishes they would just add the stackable like they want to 5 and still keep the 1 hour timer and just sort of have the best of both worlds where the people who were annoyed and wanted stackable still get their stackable, but the people who still want to do the juggling can. I know the problem with that is that like the meta is just going to be juggling, which is what the problem is now, and people feel like they're forced to do it because it's the meta. I know that's annoying. I don't know. I feel like that would have been a nicer way of doing it, but obviously they're trying to fix it, so it's like they can't do that. Yeah, I don't know. Uh, and then just the other stuff that I was talking about. I just want more clarity on some of the things. Uh, yeah. Either way, let me know. Comment on the video if you support stackable clues, if you like stackable clues, or if you think it's stupid and you hate it and you want them to just keep the 1 hour timer. Um, or if you want a stackable clues but you wanted it to be different than how it is now, just explain. I don't know. I feel like most people who want a stackable wanted it not like this. I don't know. I haven't, like I said, I haven't watched or read anybody else's opinions on this. I just read it myself and came to this up. I didn't want to be influenced by what other people were saying. So if I sound like exactly like everybody else, I'm original. I didn't just copy everybody else's opinions. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Leave a like on the video. Leave a like and subscribe to the video. Like everybody says. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time. And yeah, see you.